To process an EOB in the Insurance V2 dashboard, you do have to have insurance permissions on your user. So if you don't have insurance permissions on your user, you would have to contact your network admin in order to get that added. But to know if you have the insurance permissions or not, if you have the permissions, you would see this insurance tab on your home screen. If you do not see it, then you do not have the insurance permissions. To input an EOB, you're going to click on the Insurance tab, which will take you to the Insurance dashboard. You're going to click on Process EOB. This drop-down menu will include the different categories that you can post your EOB. All of these options will post into your collections report as an insurance payment, but there are different subcategories that you can organize your payments if you would like, and they will show on your collections detail report. This date picker is for the posting date. It will always default to today's date, but you can change it if you need to. For example, if you have not posted an EOB for a while and you want to backdate it so it matches the day of the check, you could change the date on the date picker. This upload EOB PDF is just simply to upload a scanned version of the EOB. It does not auto post anything, so it's not ERA support, so not automatic EOB posting. It's just a way to simply save a copy of the physical EOB and attach it to the post EOB. So some offices scan their paper EOBs and save it to a file on their computer. This is the same concept, it's just within Cairo HD. In the third-party payer field, you will start typing in the name of the third-party payer that you have the EOB. For example, say I have an EOB from Blue Cross. I can start typing out the name Blue Cross. Now, in my test office, I have a lot of Blue Cross Blue Shield payers because they have different addresses. So I can just select all that matches, and it will pull up all payers that match what I started to type out. This date range right here is referring to dates of services for any patient that has this payer, and those services have not been fully settled. So if I'm posting an old EOB, I may have to backdate this date. So this is a field to pay attention to if you're not seeing a specific date of service. For example, if I have an EOB that has a date of service of July, it's not going to show on my screen because of this date field. So I would have to open up that date range. Check number and memo are optional. They just help you notate different details when posting your EOB so that you can search for them in the future. Check number would be the number on the check that was attached to the EOB, and memo field can be whatever you need it to be. Check amount would be the amount of the check that was included in this EOB. So let's say this EOB was for $700. Once I click out of that field, you will see it populated these columns over here. Payment amount is always just copying this amount here that you put in. Remaining is going to actively deduct as you post payments. So by the time you get to the end of your EOB, the remaining should say 0. It's kind of your check and balance to make sure that you've posted everything correctly. These right here are our hotkeys for the EOB posting screen. They only work on the EOB posting screen, but they're hotkeys to help you post your EOB faster if need be. For example, if I want to put in a $25 payment on this line, and I want to just write off the remaining difference, I can just hit W on my keyboard, and it'll automatically write off the remaining for me. If I want to reset this row, maybe I typed in an amount incorrectly, you would hit X on your keyboard to reset the row. Now I do have to click anywhere into the line and then hit X. For example, say this line item was paid in full. I could just click in the payment field and use my hotkey of P, and then I'll post that full charge as the payment. Over here are the list of patients that have this payer and that have services that are not fully settled in between this date range. You can use the quick filter search to search for a patient's name and post against their name a bit easier. So I search for my name, I can click on it, and then I'm just looking at my dates of service. As you click around on your patients, you are only seeing their dates of service that you're posting against, so it can help mitigate errors. Here you can see a snapshot of the patient cases and the policies associated with each case. This is helpful, especially if you're posting an EOB from Medicare. For example, with this patient, I can see that they have Medicare as primary and they have a secondary policy. So in this situation, I can quickly reference and see that they have a secondary policy. So if I was posting the EOB from the primary payer, I entered the payment amount, I would make sure to keep the remaining balance and not write it off because I know this patient, I can see here that they have a secondary policy and I don't want to settle the line because I should be receiving an EOB from the secondary payer once I send out a claim to them. Or in the situation with Medicare, Medicare may auto forward the claim. But this is just to quickly reference what cases a patient has and what policies they have. You can also click into the patient snapshot if you need to look into anything further. So how would I post an EOB that has multiple patients? Let's use Isaac's line as an example. Let's say that insurance paid $25 and he does not have a secondary policy, so I can go ahead and write off the remaining balance. I'm going to hit W on my keyboard. And you can see as I added that $25 payment, it subtracted $25 from the check amount, and I have $675 remaining. On my EOB, that was the only service for Isaac, and now I'm going on to the next patient. I don't need to hit finalize or do anything. I just click onto the next patient and post that payment. Let's go on to my next patient. You can see that this patient has many dates of service. So let's say this one, they paid $40 towards. I'm going to tab over, and let's say that the patient had a $20 copay. I'm going to put $20 in the copay field, and then I'm going to hit W. And again, you can see my remaining balance went down, and I would keep posting my EOB. I'm going to just quickly post a lot of numbers here. I'm just paying in full a lot. Just to show you, for example, let's say I was at the end of my EOB and I look at this remaining and it says -3. That tells me I posted a payment incorrectly. Right now with CareHD, you cannot edit a posted EOB. You cannot edit any insurance payments amount that have been posted. You would have to delete the entire EOB and repost it again. So it's important to check this remaining balance to see if you're at 0. So this tells me I've done something wrong. As opposed to right now I have $35 remaining. Let's just say that insurance paid $35. I wrote off the remaining, and I was at the end of my EOB. Well, my remaining is 0, so I can have comfort in knowing that the payments I have added into CareHD are matching my EOB, or at least the total amounts of payments match. And again, to post against services on different patients, you just click over on their name on the left-hand side. And if I go back, I haven't lost anything that I've input. You won't lose anything, not really lose, but it won't go away until you hit finalize. That will finalize anything that's been posted against any patient over on the left-hand side. I want to touch on these columns that you'll see on the EOB posting screen. Service date is the date of service. You know, the CPT code, the modifier if there is one. This type does not post anywhere. All it is preemptively predicting which payer is responsible for this service. For instance, I have not had any amount paid towards this service before, so it's telling me primary should be up to bat for this service. If I've already posted a payment from the primary and I'm posting an EOB from the secondary, then it would say secondary here. You can click in and change the field if you need to, but this doesn't have any bearing on anything. It's just predicting who should be paying the service. You have the billed amount. Your disallowed will automatically calculate for you. It will calculate the difference between your billed amount and your allowed amount. If you have fee schedules set up in CareHD, then they will pull in the allowed amount column. Payment is the payment from the insurance company. Primary write-off would be the write-off when you're posting from the primary payer. When you're posting a EOB from the secondary payer and you write off anything in that posting, that would show in this column. These next 4 columns are all patient responsibility amounts. Here you have deductible, copay, coinsurance, which should come directly from your EOB. Other PAT is a other patient responsibility amount. Say, for example, insurance denies a service and you want to make the patient responsible for it. You would put that amount in other column because it's not truly their deductible or their copay. It's another amount that you're making them responsible for. Fees is where you would input a recoupment amount. So if insurance is taking money back, you would just input that amount here. We do have a separate video about how to post a recoupment, so I'd refer to that video in depth. Previously paid will indicate if there's been an EOB posted against this service already. So has there been a previous paid amount on this service? You would see an amount in this column if you've posted a primary payment and now you're going to post an EOB from the secondary. You would see previously paid, which would be the payment from the primary payer. Or say example, you get 2 payments from one insurance company. You would still see an amount previously paid because there's a previous paid amount on that service. Your balance is going to be the balance across all these lines from your billed amount going all the way to the right. And so when a line item is fully settled, meaning the total billed amount has been allocated across all of these columns, the amount will show in green and show 0. Let me reset this row. If the entire billed amount has not been allocated across all these columns, you'll see that the balance will be in red. That's just simply bringing your eye and your attention that there is a balance remaining. If there needs to be a balance remaining, that is totally fine and leave it. In the example, if I have a primary and a secondary payer, if I'm posting the EOB from the primary, I will leave a balance remaining until I get the EOB from the secondary. Here I can mark a service for rebill, or I can hit denied. You can input a message to the office, a rejection code, a resubmission reason, and you have 2 action options. Leave as insurance will send a custom green sheet to the office and it will leave that service in the insurance queue. The office will then receive that message. They go to their green sheet icon, process EOB issues, and your message to office is what will appear here. So essentially, why did it deny? Your denial reason. And the office has the option to mark as review and rebill, meaning they reviewed the message. It marks the service as rebill so that they can go in and make any required changes so that it can bill out again. If you click Set to Patient Responsibility, it will flip the entire service to patient responsibility and it will take it out of the billing process altogether. To finalize or post my EOB, you would just hit Finalize. And then now if I go to EOB history, I can see any past EOBs that I have posted. I go to Reporting, Simple Reporting, Collections. You can see my posted EOB amount here. So that is how you would post an EOB in the Insurance V2 dashboard.